بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome to episode 13 of the series Filtering Out What the Prophet ﷺ Never Said. A brother asked, can you explain the hadith of Najd? Is it authentic? Many people claim it to be talking about Saudi Arabia and falsely attributing it to the non-existing Wahhabism. So first let's talk about the hadith, what narration the brother is referring to. So there's different narrations. One narration that is authentic in Bukhari and Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said, "O Allah, put blessings, put barakah for us in our Sham and in our Yemen." And so the companions said, and in our Najd, the Prophet ﷺ repeated what he said, "O Allah, put barakah for us in our Sham and in our Yemen." So they said, and in our Najd, so upon which the Prophet ﷺ said, that's where, in other words referring to Najd, that is where earthquakes and fitan and trials and tribulations happen. And from there, the horn of shaitan will come on. And so it is an authentic hadith. Now let's talk about its meaning to understand what the Prophet ﷺ is telling us. What is he explaining? So the first point to mention is that the word Najd means any place of the earth that is higher up, that is lifted or higher in elevation. It's called Najd. So every one of the different regions has a Najd. You know, whether it's Iraq, whether it's Yemen, whether it's Sham, whether it's Hijaz, you know, the different regions, each has its own Najd. So the word Najd isn't specifically referring to Saudi Arabia, but rather every region has a Najd, has an area that is elevated within it. So to see what it is referring to, we have to look at some of the other narrations. It's also important to note that even though the Prophet ﷺ is saying that's where the fitan are in Najd, and that's where the horn of shaitan comes out, he's not criticizing the whole area. He's not criticizing everyone who will ever live in that area throughout history, but rather he's pointing out some trials and tribulations that will come out from that region, some fitan that will come from that region, from Najd. And so it's important to understand that first point, not to say, well, whichever Najd this is, all the people there are evil, everyone's bad, or that whole region is cursed. But rather the Prophet ﷺ is saying that this is from Najd, is where some of these fitan will come about. And some of the scholars interpreted that with the fitan that happen in Iraq. It's towards the east of of Medina, and Iraq has a Najd, which is an elevated area, and they referred to what the companions understood from that hadith. For example, they mentioned what Imam Muslim narrated in his Sahih from Salim bin Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhuma. He said, "Ya Ahl al-Iraq, oh people of Iraq," and then towards the end, he said, "I heard my father Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhuma say, he heard the Prophet ﷺ say, إن الفتنة تجيء من ها هنا." Indeed, the fitna, the tribulation, comes from there, and he pointed with his hand towards the east. من حيث يطلع قرن الشيطان, from where the horns of shaitan come out. وأنتم يضرب بعضكم رقاب بعض, and you are striking the necks of each other, meaning they're fighting and killing each other. Again, in this other narration that is also authentic, we see where Salim narrates from his father Abdullah ibn Umar, who narrates from the Prophet ﷺ, talking about this fitna coming from here and pointing towards the east. And we see that the companions understood that to mean, because he started off his statement, Salim started off by saying, Ya Ahl al-Iraq, talking to the people of Iraq. So, and he used this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, and pointing to the east, again showing that he understood that it's the Najd of al-Iraq that is being referred to in this hadith. And Hafid ibn Hajar, rahimahullah, says, the people towards the east, at that time were not believers, were disbelievers. And the Prophet ﷺ said that the fitna will come from that area. And, so he said, Hafid ibn Hajar, rahimahullah, he said, what the Prophet ﷺ said happened. The first fitan came from the east. And they were cause to division and disunity amongst the Muslim. And then he went on discussing that. But the point is that the Najd, no scholar of the past really said that what is meant is the by Najd is Saudi Arabia, and unfortunately you have some people today who don't like Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, and what he was calling to. He wasn't calling to anything new, anything different really. What he was calling to was the Quran and the Sunnah. I mean, if people look at in his books, that's what they'll find, but subhanAllah, sometimes people have hate, in their hearts, and they don't really know what he's calling to. But unfortunately, some of the deviant sects today use this hadith and misinterpret it. The hadith is authentic, but they misinterpret it, say, oh look, it's talking about Saudi Arabia, it's talking about, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, the horn of shaitan, fitan, etc., etc., etc. I mean, they're unfortunately misinterpreting the hadith of Prophet ﷺ and attributing to him what he never said. That's a wrong explanation of it. And no scholar of the past said this hadith is referring to Saudi Arabia or to Najd of the Hijaz, of that region of Medina, but rather to the east of Medina. And no scholar of the past either said that it's referring to the horn of shaitan, is referring to specifically to an individual either. So in any case, this hadith is authentic, and this is the proper understanding of it, is that it's talking about some of the fitan that will come from the east, that will come out, and it's not talking about Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, or about Saudi Arabia specifically. That's just not a proper understanding of the hadith. Barakallahu fikum, jazakumullah khaira, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.